Trade limitless on HMX, the next-gen decentralized perpetual exchange. Trade crypto, FX, commodities with up to 1000x leverage on the Arbitrum network. Benefit from low fees, multi-asset collateral support, and cross-margin flexibility. Check them out.
From meme to utility, Floki has it all. NFT metaverse game called Valhalla. Floki University, DeFi, charity, and shopping. Floki is governed by the people, for the people. Floki, together, there is no stopping us.
Good afternoon, everyone. BC Richfield here, coming to you live from London for our 5th annual Trading Congress. Super excited to have a really special guest with us today, who I'm going to introduce you shortly. Just want to say a really big shout out to everybody that's joining the stream live today. You can see loads of you queued up there in the chat. And also for everybody that's going to be watching this on recording. And as we can see from some good friends we have in the chat here, Gio, hello, Erica, everybody else. Some people, this is the 3rd streamer today, and they're really absolutely loving this and making the most of it. So before I do my usual thing and waffle on too much, I want to take some time to introduce our guest today. So we've got a really, real absolute gem for you today in Sjuul Follings. So AltCryptoGems, just an absolute star of a trader, and also brings in a lot of fundamental analysis, right? And one of the things I've been really excited about with this is looking at the merge between those two arenas, because they're often seen as very, very separate. And the truth of it is there's a real big crossover between the two. So before I bore you anymore with me, we're going to get Sjuul on the stream and get him to introduce himself. Hey, Sjuul, how you doing?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I'm doing fine, actually. What about you?
Yeah, I'm doing really good, mate. We're obviously in full flow now. The time is absolutely flying by. I've been looking forward to this for ages, and this morning it's just flown round. So, I mean, I've got so many questions for you, let alone what our audience are going to have. So maybe you can just do us a little bit of an introduction to yourself for the viewers that maybe don't know too much about you.
Yeah, sure. Like I said, good to have me here, and I'm excited for the stuff that we're going to talk about. My name is Sjuul Follings. I live in the Netherlands. Most people know me by AltCryptoGems these days. And I actually started in crypto, I think, 2016, the end of 2016, the beginning of 2017. And I bought a couple of Bitcoin and I left it in there, and that's pretty much all I did. And it was just a very lucky call, so to speak. Didn't really touch it until the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. When a friend of mine said, "Hey, have you heard of this thing called DeFi?" So I thought, what's this? I need to do some research into it. And I did, and I bought a couple coins, which absolutely exploded at that time. And from that moment on, I just went on trading full-time on the Binance Smart Chain. That's the time when that exploded and Binance pretty much exploded. So I've been trading, nearly full-time at that time. But at the end of the day, I was trading so many coins that I had no idea on what coin did I buy, what coin did I sell. And you need to remember that at that time, those were the coins with 0.00005 cents, for example. So it was very hard to keep track of it all. So I wanted a place where I could just have a sort of bookkeeping for myself. And that's where my sort of Twitter page came in. So everything that I did, I bought, I sold, my portfolio, pretty much anything that I was doing, I just uploaded on a Twitter page for my own bookkeeping. So I can see at the end of the day, what did I do? What did I buy? What did I sell? And did I actually make some money, or did I only lose it?
like a kind of like online portfolio.
Exactly.
Accountable for.
Yeah, I tried it with Google Spreadsheets, but my phone was logged into a different Google account than my laptop. So that's why that didn't work. And I was looking for a public place so I could always just have a look at it, which, is why I started the Twitter page. And in all honesty, I never had any clue or any idea that it would turn out to be a company that it is today, and that I could actually make a living out of it. But it was just for my own use. And eventually people started to follow me. I started to get messages from people saying, "Hey, we like what you're doing. Can we perhaps see if we can work together?" Eventually, Binance started to reach out to me. CZ actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, I like what you're doing, and we need to do something with you." So at that time, I thought, okay, I guess people are liking the content, what I'm doing. So I just kept on doing it, and yeah, fast forward to now, it all exploded. And now it's more of a company with my Twitter page, my YouTube page, recently Instagram as well, TikTok. Probably beginning of next week, we're launching a new platform for my side company called AltCryptoTalk, where we'll be sharing all the crypto news, all the project reviews that I do. Pretty much anything crypto related is what we're going to post there for all the newcomers, but also users that are interested in market outlooks, market updates, etc. So yeah, it's now 2 years later, 2.5 years later, has turned into be a real company.
What an amazing journey, though. I think for someone that's kind of been in the space probably a similar time to you, although I was involved in marginally in traditional markets before that, but someone that actually comes from a much more of a business background, I always find that a lot of the very best businesses in the space are ones that kind of materialize quite naturally. The people that have a great passion for something, people that really drill into becoming experts in their field and then look to share that information with others. Very, very to kind of our journey at the Bird Nest, right? You know, Crypto Bird, when he started this, was due to his great success he had in the space. He wanted to share that with other people because he saw so many people getting scammed in the market, people being given misinformation, you know, this whole world out there. As you know, in the early stages, it's really, really hard to find good people, right? It takes you, someone once told me that time in the market cannot be replaced by money in the market, right? In terms of the fact that you need to draw on people's experience. And actually one of the really big things about what we do here at Congress is the idea of trying to bring people like yourself together that have these just wonderful understandings of their specific field and share those journeys with other people. So I think one of the things that I find really amazing, because as a very simple creature myself, you know, I'm a very simple price action trader, bit similar to you, really. I started by punting on some altcoins and Bitcoin in the early days and stuff like that. But really kind of technical analysis speaks to me, right? You know, I look at charts and I can understand by looking at those charts, the psychology of how the market moves, you know, whether that be in the form of, you know, supply, demand, support, resistance, inefficiencies, liquidity, however you kind of see it, the principles in themselves are kind of the same. And I think one thing I always find fascinating, because it's not my area of specialty, I suppose, is how you kind of like, how you've so consistently over the period of time that you've done it, pick these really, really big runners, right? You know, I mean, I've seen posts from you from coins that have done like 1,000x, right? 100x, 500x. Like you have a real eye for kind of picking those. And for kind of our users on here that maybe don't have the time to chart as much as they want to, as we both know, the technical analysis side is very, very time consuming, you know, as is the research side around finding good altcoins, right? But what's your kind of process? What would you share with us now that you would say has really kind of led into that success that you've had?
Well, I think a big difference, obviously, is we've got altcoins, but the difference is with finding the next 1,000x, like you said, or even more than that, is it is very hard to find those coins, obviously, at any point. But there's a difference between altcoins that are mainly used for DEX trading and then get onto a centralized exchange, instead of, you know, going after a coin which is already on a centralized exchange. We need to make that clear, you know, first. For example, Floki, the meme coin. I'm not sure if you must have heard about Floki, right?
Well, funny enough, we're partnered with them, and they're actually they're actually sponsoring this as well. So what a brilliant one for you to drop in.
Well, exactly. The ad that you were showing, Floki is an example of a coin that I think, I'm not sure, I don't know the exact number anymore, but the first time I called Floki it was below 500k market cap. So it actually, well, as you know, it went to, I think, 3 billion in the previous bull run. I think it went to like a 3,000x since I posted it, or 3.3k, or I don't know. But that's an example of a coin that's it got onto centralized exchanges because it got so big. And I was there very early for the 500k, but that's purely DEX trading. So that's it doesn't really have to do anything with technical analysis, because, like I said, if a token just launched, there's no point in drawing an analysis. So doing research into those tokens is, in my opinion, a different skill, or something completely different than actually trying to do a technical analysis or charting, or on any token for that matter. So that is something that, you know, it's important that we talk about first, that there's a clear difference on tokens that you do research into and can be called a low cap coin, which might be very risky, but also has a great reward, just like Floki had. And then eventually it will get listed on a centralized exchange, and then you want to start charting and say, I want to be buying or selling at support or resistance levels. And that's where you do the charting, pretty much. And what I'm trying to do these days is sort of combine that and trying to find the tokens like Floki, which are the low cap ones. So you're trying to get multiples on those. And sadly, you already mentioned that there are quite a few scams and some tokens that eventually will do bad.
Mhm.
But the idea is to find the next Floki, and then you're going to miss out on a couple where you're going to lose a bit of money, but on the other ones you're going to gain it all.
Like trading,
Um,
yeah. So like technical analysis,
exactly,
right? You step
exactly,
into the charts. There's no one size fits all formula. You know your
exactly.
stuff. You've got your background. You take your losers, but you know your winners will outweigh the losers in the long run.
Yeah, that's the idea. So there's a difference in that I try to do those, but also try to do some charting and more large cap coins,
Mhm.
because the small cap coins is just, it all runs on a narrative. So let's say there's a meme season, all the low cap meme coins will be flying.
Mhm.
We had the Save Moon, we had the Shibas, we had the Elon hypes, all the sort of small hypes. And if there's no hype, there's no real point in being in the very low cap coins. So at those times, I like to go to the charting and do the more large cap ones.
Mhm.
Um, so that's pretty much what I'm trying to do is do a bit of both. Try to
Mhm.
get the good trades on more large caps or ones that are already settled, but also try to do some research and find the next Floki that will do 100x, 200x, 500x,
Mhm.
1000x.
Nice. And then you kind of have this beautiful synergy, right? That when you pick one of those gems and you watch it explode and you watch it get that adoption on decentralized exchanges, that you can then go from looking at the news drivers, the fundamentals of that asset. Then, as obviously the liquidity pours in, the volume pours
Yep,
into the coin over time, you can then transition that onto the charts. And then
exactly.
you're looking almost at a little bit of a different kind of methodology, if you like. What you're looking for these kind of embryonic opportunities in these altcoins, yeah, and then you find them, and like you say, you have a bag of them that you have to basically expect that they're going to go to zero, right?
Yeah,
Then
yeah,
you'll have those outliers that will go really big, and I think whether you're a fundamental analyst and you're doing that, whether you're a technical analyst, I think one of the biggest things or misconceptions that I see in trading for new people that come to the space is looking for the system or the indicator or the flow chart when you're looking at kind of investing in stuff that answers everything and that is infallible and always wins. And I think that social media can kind of catalyze that in the wrong way sometimes, where you see people just posting winning trades,
yeah,
because people feel the need to not get the criticism for the losers. But actually, it's really damaging, right? Because
yeah,
you have a lot of people that just don't understand that a lot of these systems take crypto. He's only actually, and I say only actually, but his swing trading system is like accurate, or he's right as such, and this term right,
yeah,
about 35% of the
yeah,
time. And people say, well, that's rubbish. You can't lose 7 times and win 3. You absolutely can. If
yeah,
your risk to reward on that is more than 3R, then
yeah,
you've got an absolute belter of a system, right? And I suppose it's the same when you invest in altcoins, right? People
yeah,
see these things and they're so kind of hesitant because they think, look, this thing could go to zero. So yeah, but if you've got a tried and tested system that you can overlay and you can just keep moving forward with that, you only need a few of these outliers, right, to make a really, really big difference. So I suppose, what would you say to users that are on here that are thinking, you know what, I've got no real idea where to start. I go on Coin Market Cap or CoinGecko or something, and I'm looking at market cap, and what does that mean? And I mean, would you say there was a particular way that you would kind of look to get involved in this market now?
Well, it is obviously hard to say that to sort of everyone, because there's a difference with people having a portfolio of, you name it, $500, or someone with,
Mm-hmm.
50K, for example. Because I think that really different. There's a difference between um, what you should be buying and what you should be doing with these amounts of money.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, it all depends on what someone wants to do. Because, like I said, centralized exchanges, they are obviously the most easy way to get started with crypto these days.
Mm-hmm.
You sign up with an account, you deposit some money that always should be able to lose pretty much whenever you get in crypto. When don't go with your life saving into
Yeah.
crypto. Um, but pretty much, that's the easiest way to do it. You have decentralized exchange, you see a coin, you press buy, you sell, and that's it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
perfectly doable. I mean, there's a lot of coins that are running these days, and so many coins are actually running very hard on centralized exchanges as well. So that's option A. You go into a centralized exchange, you sign up with an account, deposit some money, and buy something there, and try to buy and or sell on the exchange. And
Mm-hmm.
option B would be to, like I just said, find out altcoins that haven't actually been listed on centralized exchanges yet, and those would be the then decentralized ones. But that's just a bit harder, because then you need to create a wallet. You need to deposit some money on the wallet. You need to find out how to trade on, for example, Uniswap or
Mm-hmm.
PancakeSwap, or you need to have a bit more knowledge of it, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But the absolute runners are usually purely decentralized, because once a token is already on a centralized exchange, it's usually a more decent sized token.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a matter of risk and reward. If you want to have a bit more risk with a possible higher reward, then the decentralized lower cap ones would be the perfect ones. But if you want to just get in crypto, you want to buy a couple coins that could possibly do a few multiples, then the centralized exchanges ones would be perfect for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that depends on what you want to do, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it's just a matter of where do you actually find the information on what you should be buying.
Exactly. And
Um,
barriers to entry as well, right? Sorry to interrupt, but when you talk about that, I think one of the big things that we get a lot of feedback from our community is that they really want to go for that kind of those low caps. They really want to kind of get in there and find them on these decentralized exchanges,
yeah,
but they're really scared about the idea of, setting up a MetaMask, setting up different wallets, custodial
yeah,
things. Are they sending it to the right person? You see endless streams of people getting scammed and whatnot, right? So I think that quite often puts off people that have,
yeah,
a reasonable few $100
yeah,
that, like you say, and I can't stress this enough, the point that you put on there is you don't ever want to invest or trade with any money you can't afford to lose, right? And in that respect, it is like going out to the casino for an evening, right?
yeah,
You're not going to
yeah.
remortgage your house and just pop to the casino, right? You're going to go down there with, 50, $100, what you've got spare in
Yeah,
your pocket. And you know what you say to yourself? You say to yourself, I'm going to enjoy myself. If I spend this, it's spent, right? If I get some
yeah,
back, great. But
right.
also learning while you're on that journey, right? And you being British, we have a lot of ridiculous sayings, right? But there's a saying called having skin in the game, right?
Yeah,
Meaning that you've just got a little something in there, right? And it does really adjust how you approach it. Yeah. So, okay. So for people out there right now that are thinking, do you know what? This just sounds golden. And from all the comments in the chat, people are absolutely loving it, right? But let's say from the perspective of somebody, here you go. Geo actually, I think, is literally about to just ask the question that I was pitching across. He's saying, look, this is great. What steps would you recommend to follow to try and evaluate a coin listed on a DEX?
That's actually a good question.
Mm,
And I think before we get to that question, one thing you said before this, which I think is very important, is like you said, traders are, including me, are wrong as well.
mm,
And just like you said with Burp, he's only right 30% or 35% of the time. But that's not an issue. And what a lot of people are expecting is whenever you got a trader like me or Burp or anyone else,
mhm,
that they know it all and everything that they're talking about is going to be the next 100x. But
mhm,
that's definitely not the case. And what I think is very important for someone like me is to be transparent. And that's what I've
mhm,
always been trying to do and I'm still doing, is whenever something goes wrong, it's not a problem or it's not bad to say, you know what, guys, I thought this was a great coin, but
mhm,
unfortunately it went to zero, or it was not a good coin, and we lost
mhm,
some money on it. But like you said, what you're trying to do is you lose the 7 out of 10, but you're gonna
mhm,
win the 3 out of 10, which
mhm,
will make up for the amount of money that you lost with the other ones.
mm.
Um,
But
so I
it's
think that's
important, right, for people to understand that, because I think that people get that kind of misconception in their mind. And actually, I think
exactly.
the very best traders, investors you see on any kind of social platform are very open and transparent. But I think the really important thing about it is that you learn. I certainly did in my journey. I probably learned 10x more from my mistakes than I did from my
Yeah,
wins. Because in the early days, you can just
yeah,
very, very easily just get lucky, right? Especially
yeah,
when you're investing, you're in a bull run, you're throwing some money at stuff, and all of a sudden it just really takes off. You
yeah,
then try and repeat that in tougher conditions, and you just lose all of that capital that you've built up, right? So I
yeah,
think by being transparent and showing that there are these losses and that that's the way that the industry works, I think it allows people a little bit more of a baptism into the space, you know?
yeah,
So I think it's a really, really good takeaway for people. That and risk management. I know it's not what people
exactly.
want to hear. People want to hear that there's some golden bullet that kind of solves everything, right?
Yeah,
But the truth is, a really famous trader, Larry Williams, one of the godfathers of technical
yeah,
analysis, who multiple winner of the Robbins Cup. They turned around to him, I think, the second year he won by the largest percentage in history. and he won won it for the second time. And they said to him, "You just must be a once in a generation trader." And he said, "I'm a very average, or if anything, poor trader." He said, "But I'm an exceptional money manager." Right? And that's, I mean, it goes to show you, right? Like you say, you can lose those 7 trades.
Yeah.
You manage the 3 correctly, yeah, and that you, before you know it, those 7 are, are completely forgotten.
Yeah. One thing that's also important, obviously, is like you said, risk management, and is also portfolio management. And
Mm.
one of the biggest examples of this, and I can still remember, and I will never forget this, is you remember the Luna drop, right? That day,
Yeah,
I've
well,
had so many people DMing me saying, "Hey, I lost this amount of money or that amount of money," and I, asked them a couple questions, and so many people had 100% of their crypto in Luna. And at that time, it's even it's just very easy to put all your, what's the saying, put all your eggs in one
eggs in
basket.
one basket.
Exactly, but that's my advice as well. Never ever do that. Always diversify, and that's something important to know as well. Even with the low cap ones, like you
Mhm,
said, it's fine to have 10 different coins, and then the 7 ones, they go bad.
mhm,
But if you only put all your money into the one that went bad, then yeah, you're gonna lose it all.
yeah.
So that's important to talk about as well. Now the question, I think, actually was try to
Yeah,
uh,
Geo, I think, was saying to us, what steps would you recommend to try and follow and evaluate a coin listed on a decentralized
yeah.
exchange?
One of the first things that I always do as step one is check out the community. And
Mhm,
why I say that is, whenever a coin is listed on a DEX and not a centralized one, then the community is very important.
mhm,
Obviously, it's important for any coin or a project for that matter, but especially if it's a low cap one, the community behind it is the one that's going to sort of push it, or make sure it's going to work.
mhm,
Um, so that's the very important thing. So what I always do is, let's say I find a coin and I think, this might be something. I'm gonna, follow them on Twitter, or X is what we call it these days, obviously.
yeah.
Follow them on Twitter. Check out their Twitter page. See if the engagement that they're getting, is it actually real? Is it a page with
Mhm,
I don't know, 10K followers, which is getting 500K impressions and 1,000 retweets on every tweet?
mhm,
Then it's just a purely fake page.
mhm,
Um, so that's important to look at the comments. Are people actually engaging with it?
mhm,
Then you want to join the Telegram group. Are people actually talking in the community? Are people sharing news about the project, or
mhm,
are they excited for it? Um, Things like that, or Discord, or whatever chat there is at that point. But that's things that I do at first. So I check out the community and the team sort of behind it.
mhm,
And then you want to the team sort of do some more research on, is it, for example, a known team? Is
mhm,
there KYC? Are they doxxed?
mhm,
Have they done other projects? What have they been doing for the past couple years, for example?
mhm,
Um, these things are the first steps that I actually take. And if everything, if either of these things seem sort of off, then I'm already thinking this is not going to be it, and you just move on. Now,
mhm,
let's say everything does work out. Everything, they've got a great community. Their socials are looking very good. The team is very active, and seems to be a great team. Then what you want to do is you check into the project itself. So, do they have a roadmap? Is it a roadmap that's actually plausible, or are they saying, where we just launched and we're going to be the $1 billion market cap in within a week, or is the roadmap actually doable? Do they have a white paper?
mhm,
Do they have an idea or any utility behind it, or is it just a random meme coin?
mhm,
And that's fine as well, but then you need to know that it's a meme coin. And sometimes projects or people are saying, you know what, we've got this coin, and they're making it look as if they're going to do a lot of stuff, but they aren't actually doing anything at all.
mhm,
So that's important to, that's my sort of step after that, is once everything checks out, you check onto the project itself.
mhm,
Um, and once that sort of seems okay, and I think, yeah, I mean, they got something going, they got a good community, the project itself looks very promising, then you want to do some um, more in depth and more technical research. So what I mean with that is, you've got a project that does it have its liquidity? Is it locked, or is it burned, for example?
mhm,
And for how long is it locked? Is it just locked for a week or months or years or whatever?
mhm,
Then you want to check out what the supply is, and how is the supply actually divided. Is there, for
mhm.
example, one wallet that has 20% of the supply? Then there's there's going to be someone dumping on you. Um, and these days people are sending supply to different wallets as well, but you actually have a
Mm.
few tools to check that out, and we could talk about that in a bit. A couple tools that I'm
Oh,
using.
brilliant. Yeah, definitely.
Um, so that's sort of after that, you go a bit more in depth. So yeah, the wallets. Is there any buy and sell tax? Is the ownership renowned? So more in depth technical stuff. And once that checks out, then I'm thinking, yeah, this might be something. And then I'd say, you know what, I'm going to invest a tiny bit of money into this, and
Mm-hmm.
keep an eye on it for a couple of weeks to see what it actually will be doing and what it's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and those would be my sort of steps right now on when I'm buying or selling a decentralized coin.
I love that, and what I love about it as well is just what hopefully everybody picked up on is the very early stages of that. Before you're doing anything technical, or before you really need any
Exactly.
knowledge about market cap, about locked, about whether it's burnt, what the supply is, what the ownership is, which are all really important points before you even get there. Because most people I speak to jump straight on coin
Yeah.
market cap, and they're being overwhelmed by all this information coming at them, right? When actually getting involved in the communities, finding out how vibrant it is, finding out how quickly and engaged they are, how passionate their supporters are behind it. Like you say, the real world application, right? And like you said about meme coins, I really like that. Nothing wrong with meme coins,
No.
right? There's nothing, but you have to understand what bracket your asset is in.
Exactly.
Right? Because if you're looking for a narrative and all of a sudden the property market's going ballistic and you've got a property coin that's underpinned by real world property assets and that's starting to do really well, your bag of meme coins probably aren't going to be jumping on that same bandwagon, right? So once you understand that and you can dive into the technical side of things, I think that's so important. But actually, I don't think people put enough emphasis on how important the communities are, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the communities, the people that believe in this, they're the ones that make these things go parabolic, right? They're the
Exactly.
ones that believe, they invest the time, and
Yeah.
they're the ones that really draw the attention.
Yeah, and the thing why I also do it is it's usually a bit easier or faster to see. So let's say the technical stuff, you can literally lose yourself for hours or days even in the technical stuff, finding out what they can do, what are they going to do, what's the smart contract, etc., etc. So it takes up a lot of time. While opening a community in Telegram or just a Twitter page, within
Mhm.
like half an hour, you can see all the information pretty much.
Yeah, and
So
you're
that's why
using it as a
I
filter, right? You then
exactly,
filter out. Say you got 100 coins you want to look into, right? If you're trying to find all the technical stuff on there,
exactly.
you're causing yourself big problems.
Exactly. So you just take out you filter out the easy stuff first, and then the ones that you're left with, you're gonna do some more in-depth research and then more the technical stuff.
Mhm.
That's why I do it, because otherwise, like you said, if you got 100 coins, you need to find out all the technical stuff for it. You're gonna be busy for weeks to months, pretty much.
Maybe the
Um,
entire cycle, right? And then
yeah, exactly,
you find out finally, you're like, this is a really good coin. You look back on it and you find out it's already pumped, right? And you
exactly.
could have
And you're too
already
late.
limited that right down to a real kind of key list. And actually, that kind of touches upon something that I find the conversation with technical analysis quite a lot. So when I work, especially if I work with mentoring students or within the community, I'll speak to people about what they're looking at, what they're mapping out, and they've got like every altcoin on this list and everything all the way down, right? And they're like, how do I know which one's going to pop? And it's like, well, first of all, you're much better kind of going a bit more niche, trying to find an area that you can understand, right? It's an area that you can kind of relate to. And even with technical analysis, right? Crypto is going to be more volatile. You're going to trade it on lower time frames. Regular kind of legacy markets, you need to understand, news drivers, the Forex market, you need to do the same, right? So when you're doing that, sometimes it really helps to kind of narrow your vision. And then I also find if I'm looking into communities, if I'm looking into coins that I want to invest in rather than trade as such, if I've got an interest in that area or I've got any kind of experience or any kind of, just really kind of like a borderline interest in it, you find that can really carry you through with that sometimes, right? You can engage in the communities in a different way. You can narrow your focus down to assets that you want. And it kind of draws me back to a point that was brought up earlier that I think is a brilliant quote, right? Which is, portfolio management is as important as risk management. And that's just absolutely right. So I think maybe what would be really helpful for the viewers before we get into anything too technical is, you're someone that has brought us so many opportunities through, whether it be through your Twitter channel or X, as we call it now, through your YouTube channel. You're always looking to kind of find, TikTok, you're so kind of active on all those spaces, right? Now, I know, like I say, but at the Nest, we're real traders. We do this for a living, right? We're not people that have kind of built a career based on YouTube and that we've built careers based on the trading that we do, or the altcoins, very, very similar, exactly the same as you've done. So I know if you're recommending a coin, right, and it piques my interest, that it's going to be something that's in your bag as well, right? So you've got this big portfolio, right? You're a super busy guy. People often say to us, look, how can I fit doing this around, having a wife and children at home, or having a husband and children at home, right? Or having a full-time job, because there is this misconception that, crypto traders and altcoin gems sit on a beach sipping cocktails and just throw a dart on a board and find some 1000x, right? But, managing a portfolio of that size is pretty much a full-time job as well.
Yeah.
Right. So what advice would you give to people that are maybe sitting here now with some portfolios of some things they invested in that are doing well, maybe some others they invested in aren't doing so well? What would you say your key tips for portfolio management are?
Well, one of the things that's important is obviously what the portfolio size is before we continue with that. And what I mean with that is you don't want to know, like, my in real life friends or people that I meet, they know I'm in crypto. You don't want to know how many times people are asking me, "Hey, Sjuul, I've got $500, I got $1,000.
What can I buy?
What do I buy right now?" Or you know what? I got 5K sort of in my bank account that I'm not really using right now, but I see a lot of things on the news about Bitcoin or crypto. So what should I be buying? And in all honesty, the people that are asking me the question, I always say, don't get started with crypto.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is they all expect them to invest $1,000 or 5K or whatever money you want to take as an example. They all expect that to invest and then to go 100x within a year. That's what they want to know. How can I become a millionaire with this just $10 pretty much? But let me be clear, that's not going to happen that way. If it was that easy, we'd all be millionaires, and we'd all be, like you said,
there'd be no money left, would there?
There would be no money left, exactly. So that's not going to happen. So to those people, I always say, if you have some money in crypto and you want to sort of make some money out of it, then you can definitely buy something and set up a portfolio. But then you should more see it as an investment, just like stocks or gold or whatever. You're going to put some money into it, and in a couple of years, or a year to a couple of years, then you're probably going to see some returns, and you're going to take some money out of it, which is probably a lot better than any stock or having it in your bank account pretty much. That's what I usually advise to those people. So just invest some money, leave it in there, and after a couple of years, see what it has been doing, and you sell it or you buy even more or whatever.
So treating it like a savings account, right, rather than a current account. That's the truth of it. No quick returns. Find something. Understand your timeline.
Exactly. That is, if you don't have the time or the knowledge, or you don't want to sort of invest the time into it, because there's a difference in people that are saying, "Hey, I've got 5K. I want to invest it in something. Not, I don't want to have anything to do with crypto, pretty much." Then you're not gonna advise them any small cap coins or coins that need to be traded daily. So that's my advice. Whenever you don't have the time, or you don't want to, or you just don't have the knowledge to get in crypto, then don't expect it to be the next 100x or to buy something and to become a millionaire out of it. Now the ones that are saying, "Hey, I've got some money and I actually like crypto and I want to get some more knowledge on it, get a bit more into crypto. What should I be buying?" What I then always say is, first, start doing some research for yourself. There's no point investing $1,000 right now just because I say so, and then you have no idea how to actually sell the coin or to actually find out how to chart the coin or whatever. First, do some research. Look on YouTube. You said it yourself. Me, but also other guys. There are so many active guys on pretty much any social media these days, and there's so much free knowledge out there. So start doing some research on YouTube. Look at some projects that you think are interesting and see what people are saying about it. For example, Twitter or X. I'm very active on X, actually, and a lot of new information on crypto is instantly posted on X. So create a Twitter account. Just go on there and look at it. Don't buy anything yet. Just look at it for a couple of weeks or a month or whatever. And then eventually you will start to pick up some more knowledge. And once you've done that, then I'd say just take $50 or whatever and just try. Just buy something, even if it does go to zero, it doesn't really matter. I mean, obviously you lost $50, but then you now know how to trade. You now know how to buy. You know how to sell. You know, for example, what slippage means. You know what the taxes mean, etc. And once you've done that, then you want to start looking at, what? I've actually got a bit more money laying around. What should I be buying? Or do you have some advice on where I should be looking at? Or then you want to get started. But
you're better armed then, right? So
exactly,
what you said then, and what I say to people when they're learning is look at that kind of, don't look at it as a loss, look at it as an investment in your
exactly,
education,
exactly.
right?
You're instead of buying sort of a course, you're investing that money by actually doing it. You know, you're actually out there in the field, sort of
Mm-hmm.
buying and selling coins, and that's what you want to do. So that's always my advice on first start off with that, and once you've done that, then you want to start looking at portfolio management, risk management, and
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Let's say I've got $1,000. What should I be buying? Then you could, for example, say I'm going to put, I don't know, 80% of that in sort of mid cap coins,
Mm-hmm.
which if the market's going to run, they will run as well. And 20% in sort of very risky, but also very rewarding low cap coins.
Mm-hmm.
And in all honesty, you need to see those 20% as already as a loss because usually you're going to lose anyway. But I've actually had times where my 20% or even 10% was making a lot more money than the actual 80 or the 90% because it was just for example, Floki with, like I
Yeah.
said, if you have a token which is a 3000x,
Mm-hmm.
even if you just invested $100 or $200 in it, you're going to make a lot of money out of it. And obviously Floki is a very extreme example, but you know,
You don't even need
um,
those returns, right? If
exactly,
you've got a
exactly,
coin that does 20, 30x, right? And if you're investing sensibly with that 1,000 and you've got that split across your portfolio, you can
exactly.
afford to have almost all of the others wipe out.
Yeah,
And then you're still making money, right? But it's understanding that, isn't it? And like you said about being involved in the market, one of the best things, and especially I think there's a kind of a little bit of a difference between the technical analysis side and kind of that side, because actually looking at these small cap projects, looking at the mid caps, right, it's something you can afford to get involved with just having a little dabble. Like you say, involving in the community, understand the Twitter before you really understand any really in-depth technical knowledge.
yeah,
But what you're also doing is you're also kind of putting yourself, you've got your nerves running in it. You know, your heart starts to race. You see these things going up. You see them going down. You know, you learn so much about them over a time frame that then when you are looking to invest a sizable amount of money or any amount of money, right? But then when you're doing it with an idea of what you did before, what you did well, what you did badly. You know, did you pick a real gem, but you kind of listened too much to other people and you sold it too quick?
exactly.
Then
Yeah,
next time, you know, look at the timeline. I'm going to invest in this and hold it for longer, you know, as an example.
exactly, exactly. So that's, you know, that's sort of my short term advice is first get some knowledge, know how to trade, know what everything is and what slippage is, etc., etc. And once you've actually mastered that, then you want to start looking at what's going
Mm-hmm.
to be my portfolio, what coin should I be buying, and then in honesty, I've got different portfolios as well. What I mean with that is I've got a portfolio that's more of a long term one, for example, which I just have on a hardware wallet, somewhere in a vault, actually somewhere in the Netherlands, which I rarely touch, just maybe once or twice a year, which is exactly why I've put it in a vault. So, you know, I can't actually touch it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's, you know, that's a long term portfolio, which is there for the next years, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can have a portfolio which runs on a narrative, like you said. So you've got a meme season, or you've got a season with layer ones, or the, like you said, the RWA, or anything of that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that could be sort of a midterm portfolio, so to speak, where you are actually trading, but for example, once a month or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a sort of wallet which has, I think, like $1,000 on it, or maybe $2,000 on it,
Mm-hmm.
where I do gambling pretty much.
Just taking a
So like
punt
you
on
said,
like.
exactly. That money is sort of gone already in my head, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that I'm gaining out of it is a benefit and is just going into the other portfolios.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're gonna try is to make as much money with that small amount of money. But yeah, that's one thing that I do. Just have different types of portfolios. Ones that you have for a long term, ones that you
Mm-hmm.
have for a midterm that you like, but you don't touch that often, and one where you do trading because you like it and you try to find the next 100x gem, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. But that kind of what you're saying about there is also the idea around having a balanced portfolio, right?
Yeah,
Is that you know what ones you have really high risk on and you know what you're allocating towards them, which is a small percentage, right?
yeah,
You know where you have the longer term investments, right? And actually, one of the things you said that really kind of resonated with me was the idea that you kind of lock that in a vault so that
yeah,
you can't touch it. And
yeah,
actually, very early in my journey, especially with crypto, I was swing trading, right? And basically, the introduction to the crypto market was so volatile compared to traditional markets, right?
yeah, yeah,
These things all over the place. I'm thinking, what the heck's going on, right? And I found myself getting really anxious looking day after day. I'm up at 2 a.m, looking at the position, thinking, "Oh my God, we're pulling back here. We're going to find support." And then basically after doing that for a few weeks and just looking like I'd aged about 50 years, I was like, do you know what? Actually, I just don't think swing trading's for you. And I completely readapted my approach to suit my personality, to suit my kind of characteristics, and realized that intraday trading was a big thing for me, right? Getting in and out of positions in a day. And very rarely do I hold a position, not outside of my investments, obviously, but in terms of trading, very rarely do I hold a position through the night because
Exactly.
I want to sleep well. And people say, yeah, but you should be this cold, heartless, ruthless machine when you're an investor or crypto trader. And it's just nonsense. You are who you are, right? But actually understanding who you are, right? And if to keep that thing for a year, you need to lock that thing up, in a hardware wallet, stick it in a vault and stick the vault in a safe, right? Then just do it, right? Because at least you understand. It's like me, right? I know that if I keep Haribo, like sweets, in the house,
then you're going to eat them.
I'm going to eat the damn things, right?
Exactly.
So what do? I don't buy them, right? And people say, isn't that defeatist? It's like, no, that's understanding my weaknesses, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's also two-sided. Sorry to interrupt, but it's also two-sided that it's, like you said, it's that way. It's easier to not touch it pretty much, but also for security reasons, obviously, is you don't, you hear all the strange stories these days. And I think still, even if you have it at your home, you can have a vault or a safe. Still, eventually, someone could come to your house and say, "Hey, I want your wallet," and that's it. Which is actually why I do it sort of in a how do you say it, in a vault or a safe, not in my house, but in like a public. I don't know how you say it.
So kind of like a public vault, so you can go to like banks and bits and pieces. We have a lot of them in London.
Yeah, exactly. To enter, you need to like have your iris scanned, and if you want to bring someone, you have to have them scanned as well, etc., etc. So it's security reasons, but also like you said, that way, just like the sweets, you're not gonna touch it because if I now have to go there, I have to travel like an hour, go there, take it out, etc. Then go back, then you have to make the trade. That's it's just a lot of hassle. So I only do that once a year, pretty much.
I love the fact you got it in the Netherlands as well. So if you're in, say, Dubai or Singapore or that's a hell of a long way to
I
go.
can't touch it. I can't touch it. It's but that's just how it is. I mean, like I said, if it's just a long-term one, then usually there's not that much of a rush. Even if I'm in Dubai or any other country, usually even if the crypto market is pumping, it's not going to be like, oh shit, I need to sell right now. We're then talking about a game plan months ahead. So that's also important, the security aspect.
Huge. I mean, I always find it funny. So the security aspect, similar to like risk management, how people will put so much time and effort, which is great, into finding these coins, into getting these wins, into harboring them. The same way with realized and unrealized profit, right? I've seen people hold stocks, shares. I've seen people hold crypto, just watching the price finish, and they're like, I don't want to sell at $1,000 a coin. Why? Because it was 1,500 before. Wrong question. What is 500 tomorrow? Right? You just need to know your levels, where you're comfortable getting out, where you're comfortable getting in, and what kind of risk profile you're happy to endure as well. And I mean, I think one of the things, like I said before, I'm a technical analyst, right? I obviously understand the fundamental realm basically enough in terms of my own personal investing. It's not something I'd ever kind of give advice to other people on, because I know there's people much better than me in that space that I can direct them to, right? Who they can really, really learn from. But what I do love about your stuff is this kind of crossover between technical and fundamental, right? Now, I've seen a lot of your posts, I've seen your videos and that, and it's really, really solid advice, right? And you're kind of you use a lot of pattern trading, right? You're looking at key areas of support and resistance. You're looking for reclaims of key levels, right? Are you also kind of like factoring in strength into that? I mean, I know you kind of use everything, well, not everything, but you use a variety of stuff, of tools, right? Liquidity mapping, stuff like that, but you use it so well. And when you talk about it, and when you post about it, it all seems very clear. And I find that people that really understand their craft talk about it in a way that it comes across almost easy. We know it's not, but it's the gift of spending so much time in doing it, right? And I've been there before. I see someone talk about something, especially when I learned, and I was like, that sounds like the most simple thing in the world. And then I shut the YouTube video down and open the charts, and my mind just goes blank. You're like,
I have no idea how to do it.
Draw that line, or where did that go? Where's my box? So from a technical standpoint, just before we kind of go into it, just into a few questions towards the end, I just wondered if there were any kind of real kind of, golden tips, if you like, or things that you look for, or kind of a journey that you made into that you'd like to share with the viewers.
Well, technical analysis wise, so like you said, charting, heat maps, liquidation map, you name it, all sort of the tools that are there. In honesty, it's exactly like I said, is just get out there and try it. And that's what I did as well. I had no clue on charting or what like you said. I opened the chart and said support resistance. What's this all about and what is it actually? And I just looked at a lot of YouTube videos and tried it them myself. And eventually thought, you know what? And I think I can sort of do something with this. So then you, for example, do some demo trading with it. You see how that goes, and then once you see, this is actually going sort of like I expected, or you need to master it a bit, or go back to the drawing table and change up your plan. That's pretty much what I did. And we're talking about, I think, like I said, 2 years now, 2.5 years is when I'm doing this sort of full time. And I'm not anywhere close or anywhere near good at it or perfect at it. It's just I've been doing it for a lot of time, and I know what to look for, and that's what I'm doing these days. And that's what I'm sharing as well. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do, is with the fact that I'm sharing it, is show sort of the thought behind it, or show what I think is going to happen because this and this and this, for other people to see, hey, what's this guy saying, and why is he saying that this is going to happen? For them to actually think, I can actually try and do this myself as well for a different coin. And I'm actually doing this quite a bit more recently with sort of educational threads that I'm posting, where, for example, like you said, trying to educate on what is a support and resistance. How can you find strength in different markets, or why are certain coins good against other coins? Or so in all honesty, it's hard to give an advice on the technical analysis part, but I'd say do a lot of research, follow a lot of people, and read books, watch YouTube videos, you name it, and try it for yourself. That's one of the big things. Just go out there and try it, because then you're gonna find out. Like you said, you open a chart, and the first thing you thought was, I had no idea what he just said. My mind is blank. That's how I started as well. But because you do it more often and you keep on doing it, eventually it'll be sort of riding a bike. You're not gonna, it'll just happen. You're not gonna unlearn it, so to speak. So that would be my advice.
Sorry to interrupt, but then it comes to kind of layering things on top, right? So one of the things that I speak to the community about a lot, for any mentoring students and on any of my streams, is that for me, I've always found it really useful to split myself into two different people. I've got like BC Richfield, the trader, right? That's where I'm trading time-proven strategies that I've got huge amounts of backtesting data on, that I literally just see it happen on the chart and I execute, right? I don't go ask myself, what if it doesn't work this time? What if it does work? No, look, I know with the data that if I meet my triggers and I meet my trade parameters, that's what gets my entry. Then I'll see some really amazing stuff that will really pique my interest, that maybe other people are doing, or maybe members of the team are looking into, whether that be liquidity mapping, whether that be, using volume charting and stuff like that. And then I kind of go on to that and I kind of say to myself, well, I want to understand that, right? But I don't want that to influence or kind of affect my execution with my actual trading systems. So I make time separate from that to test it, to work through it. And, I've been, similar to yourself, I've been a full-time trader now for about 3.5 years. And, before that as well, I was very much on the cusp for a while. I was involved in some different businesses. And I decided actually that I kind of gave up my roles in those businesses. I sold the shares that I had in stocks because I wanted the pressure of understanding if I could make this a living, right, off my own shoulders. And to do that, when I first started doing it, I was using moving averages. Then I went from moving averages to getting really deep into chart patterns, right? Then from chart patterns, I was looking at other things, doing trend following systems, MA crosses, all of this stuff. And I kind of ended up just washed out all over the place, right? But by trying it, by going through that process, by taking the losses, it taught me a lot about myself and what type of trader I wanted to be. And I think a lot of people and social media is a little bit to blame for this. They'll see a really successful system or someone posting a successful system, give up on everything they've been doing on their old system, and then just dive straight in and be like, well, I need 5 moving averages. I need this bell, this whistle, right? And I think what you do really well is, although you do use a number of different tools, what you do is you kind of know in an intimate way what they're offering you, and how to kind of combine them together. So I think across both areas, whether we're looking fundamentally or whether we're looking from a technical aspect, the real consistency of your messaging, which I love, is the fact, first of all, you've got to put the work in, right? You're not going to get anywhere in this space or in anywhere in life unless you just spend hours and hours beating on your craft, right? Then it comes to the idea of trying it. Not being afraid to step into the arena and find out how it feels, find out what it teaches you about yourself. And then thirdly, I think something you and I both really kind of are real exponents of is being transparent about your losses,
Yeah.
about your wins, about your losses. If I look back through my journals and some of the biggest lessons I learned, none of them were really from wins.
No.
Wins and money are a byproduct of a successful trading system. You get that successful trading system, right, by understanding it intimately. So yeah,
Well,
I mean, God, I mean, please go ahead, because I can go down a rabbit hole here and we'll be here all day.
once
But
once you actually win, it's obviously good because you made some money, but it can also just be pure luck. You're not gonna learn that much from winning because
Mhm,
you think I did very well, even though you may have done very bad, but it was just a lucky guess, pretty much.
mhm,
So the ones that you're gonna lose, that's where you're gonna look and say, what happened here? Did I have my stop loss wrong? Did I
mhm,
have my risk management wrong, etc.? So that's why losing is not a bad thing per se. It's actually a good thing to learn,
mhm.
but it's always good to win because you need to make some money, obviously.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. But the losses help you understand, right? So, like you're saying, and it's great advice. You look back through your journal of trades and you've gone through a losing spell, right?
yeah,
Now, understanding the cyclical nature of markets, understanding periods of drawdown are really important, right? To understand that you could have just had a 20R month the month before. That same trading system might deliver you minus 7R the next month. You don't
exactly.
just step away from that system. You need to understand years and years of data about how that system works. But what you can learn when you journal is, like you said, it's like, well, what's the consistent message that I'm getting from these
Yeah,
losses? And if you keep getting, stop caught, and then went to target. My stop loss got caught, then it went to target. Well, in that consistency, you're probably having your stops too tight. So you can review that, look at how that affects your risk to reward, and then look to factor that in to your
yeah,
future trading systems, right? And I think
exactly.
that's the thing that people don't really want to do. People become really obsessed with being right, and then they forget about the fact that actually at the end of it, like Burb says, he's only right 30% of the time, 3 in 7. Yeah.
Yeah,
So they said 3 in 10,
yeah,
and wrong 7. That to me would be a nightmare. I just, whether it's ego, pride, whatever, I just couldn't beat myself up that much, right? But he's got one of the most profitable trading strategies out there, right? So I think understanding yourself and then understanding what it is you want to achieve are really, really important.
it's
So
yeah.
what would you, I mean, I know we're going to have some questions and bits and pieces, and I really want to kind of, in fact, we've had a lot of people coming in the chat saying, taking notes, going to rewatch this one, going to revisit this one. If you had kind of like a golden tip for viewers, and I know we've covered so many of them already, I think and let's focus it on people that are new to the space. Yeah. What would you say to them? From watching these, they're going to get to meet loads of different people like yourself. They're going to find these great resources, find some amazing people to talk with. Um, what would you say would be one thing, if you could leave them with something? What would you say to those people to really focus on?
It's a good question, actually. I think, well, that's obviously hard to say exactly what, but mainly everything that we talked about and sort of combine that. So we talked about, risk management. We talked about portfolio management. We talked about trying to, even if you find a coin, what's the research that you should be doing? Pretty
Mhm.
much try to combine all of that. So my takeaway would be try to invest a bit in yourself. And that's what a lot of people are not doing these days. They
Yeah.
want to invest into some portfolio. Like I said, they've got a couple $1,000 or whatever, and they say, "What should I invest it in?" I'd say invest it in yourself. So try it. It doesn't matter if you're gonna lose some money at the beginning. Try it. You're gonna buy a scam as well. You're gonna lose money on the scam as well. But it's okay, and that will be my advice. Try to invest a bit in yourself by doing everything that you can to, yeah, get more knowledge of the space. And
Mhm.
once you've done that, eventually you will start to make some money, and you will, yeah, find the good ones. But it's not going to be you investing $1,000 and then becoming a millionaire within a week without any trouble. Those are the funny stories, but that's not going to happen probably. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a bit cliche, but that is sort of true. Invest in yourself, try to get as much knowledge and do as much research as you can, and go out in the field and lose some money.
Mhm.
And then eventually you will sort of yeah, start to pick it up.
No,
I
it is great advice. It really, really is. And I
Yeah,
know, like you say, it's a little bit cliche, but there is a saying, if you can give a man a fish or give a person a fish and it will feed them for a day, teach a person to fish and they can feed themselves for the rest of their
Exactly.
lives, right? So you've got
Exactly.
to be willing to put that work in. You've got to be willing to go through that hurt. And to kind of add on to that, just really make sure that you appreciate the journey you're on. People get so focused with the end result. They see people driving Lamborghinis and they see all these flash lifestyles and stuff. The truth is, you don't need that. Right, the money can just be a little bit of extra money coming in and out. It could be the idea that you bring yourself to like a flexible new trading environment, a new work environment that you can take. One of
Yep.
the things that really appealed to me was the fact that with a laptop and a good work ethic and some hard work behind you, you can go and take this all over the world. Right, it
Yep.
opens up a whole world of opportunities for what you can do moving forward. And
Exactly.
I think that's a really, really good takeaway for people is just put the work in, put the effort in, remember what it is that you're doing, right? Focus on what it is you're doing. Make sure you're taking notes on everything, right? Don't look to just get rich quick because the chances are it happens to lottery winners, right? They can get all
Yeah.
of this money from nowhere and have no idea why. And then they fritter it all away and you can't get that back again,
Yep.
right? Take your time. And I love the idea that just to end this up, we can just say, invest in yourself. I think
Yep.
that's in your education.
If you want, I've got 3 tools that I actually use a lot, but that's purely DEX trading.
Mm-hmm.
I can actually, give them a very short sort of introduction on why you should be using it, and then people can
What a brilliant way to do it. What a brilliant
do
way.
some research. Number one is, like I said, it's purely DEX trading this. So don't, if you're having a big, well, you can use it as well on centralized, but mainly DEX.
Mm-hmm.
It's something called Token Sniffer. I think it's, let me check, tokensniffer.com actually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's pretty much you just enter a token or like a contract address or a name, and it sort of sniffs, so to speak, and it's going to say exactly what is the buy and sell tax, when is liquidity locked, is the ownership. So all the technical stuff that we talked about is what they sort of scan. And for example, it's going to pop up and say, this is like possibly a scam because there's a honeypot or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. So that's tokensniffer.com, which I'm using, very often to do our first technical research.
Awesome.
Number 2 would be called bubble maps. And what
Mm-hmm.
this is you once again enter a contract or a token, and it's mapping out all of the wallets. So it's showing you exactly, is there a wallet with, for example, 10% or 5% or 15%? Doesn't really matter. And it's also showing the connection between those wallets. So let's say you bought 10% and you try to move it to 10 different wallets. You're also going to see that as sort of one big bubble. So one guy is able to dump.
Mm-hmm.
So that's bubblemaps.io. And finally, last one is called Token Metrics, tokenmetrics.com. And what they do is they sort of combine AI with pretty much anything that's happening in crypto. And they've got some sort of analytics overview or a dashboard where what do you call it, signals, but they're saying we see a lot of movement happening for this coin on Twitter, on what I mean, somewhere we see that it's reaching a support or resistance level, etc., and have that all of this information combined to give you an overview of a general idea of the market of like a specific coin.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a tool that I'm using as well. So those 3 would be my advice. Look into them as well,
Mm-hmm.
and just see what they're saying, and then start to use that into your research. As a final sort of quick takeaway.
No, I absolutely love that. And do you know what? I wish I'd had those kind of resources when I started because the data was a lot more raw. You're looking at white paper, you're looking at all kinds of stuff, right? And it's this wash of information. And what these kind of sites do is they decant that really well.
Exactly.
So, like as we look at it with trading at the Nest, we have these kind of, we're showing the relative strength of different altcoins in the market, right? So that if you're looking to trade strength, or if you're looking for these outliers, you can look and you can find where they are. I actually know about bubble maps. I think that's a really, really cool way to look into it as well. And I love the sound and the name of Token Sniffer as well. It just
Yeah.
sounds brilliant. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to forget that. And Erica on here is just asking, are these free sites to use?
Yes, I think Token Sniffer for sure is free. Bubble
Mhm.
Maps is free as well, and I think Token
Mhm.
Metrics as well. I think there's, if you want a bit
Maybe a
more,
paid
so I
version.
think
Mhm.
like free is like you're able to scan 10 tokens, for example. If
Mhm.
you want to have more of them, then you need to hold a bag of tokens or buy premium. So all of these are sort of free, but if you do it hardcore, and I do a research into a lot of coins, so I'm actually premium at them.
Mhm.
But you don't need premium. You could just use it for free if you're a regular user, so to speak.
Mhm. Yeah, also as well, like with any of these sites, get yourself in, enjoy the free trial, find out if it's for you
Exactly.
first.
Exactly.
Just because someone else is using it well, it doesn't mean that if you sign up for Super Platinum membership that it's going to do it for you, right?
No,
Get there,
no.
understand it. As with investing, start small, do it within yourself and with what you can
Yep.
afford, and then just look to build it up slowly. Wealth and stuff like that comes over a period of time, right? And the
Yep.
great thing is that if you invest in yourself in the best way, then you're basically, that's the best investment you can have because
You
you can
can.
do that
Yeah.
forever.
Exactly.
Look, so this has just been absolutely amazing. I mean, we're running this right down to the wire with 30 seconds, so I'd love to really dive even deeper into this. But I just want to say a really, really big thank you for coming on. We've had some amazing comments in the chat as well. Do please make sure to follow Sjuul, okay? You can see it on here, AltCryptoGems. Through that, if you go onto his Twitter profile or X, you can find the link tree, takes you through to all the
Yep.
goodies, the YouTube, takes you through to as well his news channel as well, where they've got a really, really big and vibrant community going on there as well. And really, just for me to say thanks to you, thanks to everybody for tuning in. There's been some real gems on this one. I really can't recommend kind of watching that back enough. There's going to be little bits and pieces maybe you missed the first time. But taking this from somebody like Sjuul that has been there, has done the journey, has come from outside the space into it as an amateur, learned, built the way up, and is now doing this full time as a professional for the last 2.5 years, building what he's built and understanding what he does. There's no better inspiration than people like this. All right. So brilliant. What a time to end
What
it.
a
I love that.
timing, actually.
That is just the internet saying that our time is done now.
Yeah,
And it actually is.
exactly.
We've got another show coming up for you, which has just started across there with Crypto Burb as well. So do pop over to that if you're interested. But thank you so much, everyone, for being on here. It really, really has been a joy. Sjuul, thank you so much for being on, buddy. It's been a real pleasure. And we really look forward to hearing more from you in the future and hopefully having you involved in the event next year as well. We can pick back up and pick back on some more gems for everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. It was a great time. And like you said, excited for the next one. And thanks everyone as well for listening and asking the questions. So thanks very much. And let's hope the market, we're going to see some green very soon.
What a brilliant way to end it. Thanks, guys. Be good, and we'll see you around the nest.
Thank